Madison, I'm assuming you're getting close to leaving work, right?
I actually just left the office building, and I'm riding the bus home at the moment. Is there something that you need from me?
I see. Will that bus be going by the 8th Street subway station?
Well, the last stop is actually 8th Street subway station.
Well then, you can ride that bus all the way there this time.
And why should I do that? I don't plan on going shopping or anything today either. I just wanted to get home so that I could have some downtime before having to cook dinner.
Well, I want you to go to the department store for me, so you'll have to take a little detour, okay?
The department store?
A brand of purse that I'm really into just released a brand new style. I can't stop thinking about it and have been looking at pictures online of it all day long.
Okay.
So, I'd like you to go there and pick one up for me.
And how much is that new purse going to be?
I think around $1,300 or so.
$1,300? I'm going to assume that after I get home, you'll repay me for this, right?
Excuse me, are you saying you want to take your husband's parents' money from them? You are one awfully greedy woman.
But $1,300 for a purse is no small amount. If it was just for groceries or something you need, I wouldn't mind paying, but for a purse? Can you at least wait a little while until your birthday or Christmas to get it?
All I'm saying is that I want it now. That should be enough for you to go and buy it for me.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't just have $1,300 laying around for me to spend on that, so no.
Excuse me. Well, why don't you go to the bank and get a loan for it then? Or maybe just use one of your credit cards for it and you can pay it off at a later date.
I will lose the ability to buy food and things for me and my husband. But is that really what you want?
Huh? How does that have anything to do with my purse?
We'll be stuck having to eat really cheap food, and won't be able to afford anything breaking down. But if that's what you want, then I suppose I can buy that.
How can you think that I'd let you buy cheap food for the family? Ugh, I'm over this. I'm going to talk with Drew about this. I guess I was wrong for asking his moneyless and greedy wife to get me a simple purse. I just assumed that you working for a huge company meant your salary was good enough to ask for such a purse. But I should think twice next time before asking you for anything. It's crazy that I even allowed Drew to marry a selfish woman like you. Really, I was hoping he'd find a woman that knew how to treat her husband's family with respect, but I guess I was deceived by you in every way. I'm not going to let this go, Madison. I hope you understand that you'll be hearing about this again from me and Drew at a later date.
I don't think that Drew will just go out and buy you a $1,300 purse that easily either. Him and I are in the same boat of not wanting to spend money on needless things right now.
Well, unlike you, he knows how to save up money and has more than enough to buy his mom one present. I need to get in touch with him before those purses go out of stock. I've already heard that a lot of the stores in town are out of them, and I'm not going to let your selfish crap be what stops me from getting one.
This again, huh?
I knew it was the right choice getting myself this new purse. I heard that this was the last one they had in stock at the store. That was a dangerous situation I had to face. I was right to ask for Drew to go out and get me this beautiful new purse.
He really ended up buying it for you, huh? I should have known that he'd resort to being such a mama's boy.
Well, he didn't even trouble me with all that talking back, like you. So I'm glad that I stopped where I did with you and decided to ask him. Oh, this is so much fun. I just love sitting here feeling the natural leather. And this bag will complement that new red dress of mine so well.
I wish you at least think a bit more about other people's money before you start asking them to use it for you.
Well, it's all my son's money anyway, so I have every right as his mother to use it any way I please.
But there is a limit to that. And shouldn't you have money of your own? You're retired now and have a pension that you can use to buy that sort of stuff if you save well enough.
Oh, geez. You are such an annoying dog. I was feeling so wonderful to have my hands on this purse. And yet here you are ruining that feeling. I guess I could try to de-stress. I'll ask and see if he can get me a nice tote bag to match this purse.
Hold on. Do you not realize that we don't have the money to afford all of those high-end brand bags for you?
Well, listen, Madison. You guys do have the money. Or I guess I should say that Drew does. I know that more than you do.
What?
I think you'll soon start to learn about everything that's been going on with your husband and the wealth he's going to have.
Yeah? What do you even mean by that?
Well, as we get closer, you'll see what I mean. I hope that you start to prepare yourself for the future that's ahead of you.
Ashley? I just realized that a lot of the things in the house have gone missing. What the actual hell is this about?
Ah, you've made it back home. I only just got out of there a little bit ago, so that really saved me from having to deal with you in person.
But I want to know what's going on.
I'd like to think that you found the divorce papers that were left behind for you.
I did. They were sitting on the living room table right in the open for me to spot. But what the hell is up with this?
It's just as it looks. I want you to divorce my son immediately.
Wait, this is way too messed up that I can't even understand you. Can you tell me again what you said? But this time with a little bit more explanation behind it.
Drew is going to be getting married to a much younger and much more wealthy woman, so he's moved out of there into a gorgeous new estate.
Huh? A wealthy and young woman? And a gorgeous estate?
My son happened to come across a rich girl that happened to fall in love with him.
Huh?
Well, they started dating with the idea of marriage. And unlike you, she happens to let me buy things with her money and doesn't even talk back to me at all. This is when I expected you'd start to understand.
So this all started because of your desires of using someone else's money to buy all your brand items.
Sure did. She has a small fortune in her bank account, so buying what I want is no problem for her.
Who the hell even is this woman, and where is she from?
There's that really nice part of the suburbs home to all sorts of luxury estates, right? Well, she happens to live right in the center of all those nice estates in a much larger and more modern mansion.
What? Really?
When I think about a rich and young woman compared to a moneyless middle-aged woman, she stands out like a star next to a rock. She comes from a completely different way of life.
Are you serious right now?
I am. Drew has no other choice but to leave the woman with no money in her account. It's only natural for him, after all. And then you can go live on your own at whatever place you can actually afford. Well, now that you understand the situation, I'd like you to hurry along with the divorce.
Understood. Thanks for helping me see this clearly. I hope you have a great life.
Yes, you don't have to tell me that. I'm already the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Angela! Has there been anything crazy going on with you lately?
Oh, hi, Madison.
Are you okay right now?
Well, I'm starting to get the hang of what's been happening. Just a bit ago, Mom and her son seemed to be at the front of my house. They came right into my house with all these boxes saying that they were going to be moving in with me, and made quite a mess for me. Right now I'm with my husband, and we are discussing everything that just happened. Madison, that man, he looks a lot like the man that's been stalking me for a while now. Actually, I think he is that man.
For crying out loud.
So, why do you want to know something about this happening to me?
Well, I think that man that's been stalking you is my husband. And he was most likely there with his mom.
What?
Was it a man that had a pretty lean body and looked in his 30s, with a much older woman who was even more thin and looked within her late 60s? I'm sure it also seemed like the mom was in control of the situation and had him on a leash the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I saw. And actually, the man seemed to stand behind and let his mom do the talking. I guess that really must be your husband then.
I'm so sorry that my husband has stepped out of line and caused you this much trouble. It turns out that my husband thinks he is going to marry you, and that he's allowed to just move into that house with you.
What?
I wonder if he has you confused as some sort of person with a lot of money that lives alone in an estate like that. And his mom seems to think that a person like you would just marry him and let her spend all the money of yours that she'd like.
Now that you mention it, his mom did go right up to my husband and said that her son is going to marry his sister. And that she is there to watch it all happen. And my dad only has brothers, and so this all seemed really strange to both him and me.
I'm sorry to have to ask this, but can you give me a little time to handle this? I want to have a chance to talk to my mother-in-law about this. Of course, if you can't manage giving me a little time, you're more than welcome to just call the police on them both. I don't really mind.
All right, I just hope you can get to the bottom of this.
Ashley! What the hell are you both doing at my friend's house? I'm talking about the woman that Drew plans to marry.
Oh my, so you do happen to know who she is?
She has been friends with me through both middle school and high school. And even now we still happen to go out every once in a while.
I see. So you really do have some deep connections to this fine woman. But could this just be you acting like she's your friend when she really has no idea who you are?
The only people that she doesn't know a thing about are you and your son.
Huh? What do you mean, Madison?
That woman is not the single owner of that house. Both her and her husband own it, and he's the one that bought it for them.
What?
Right now, the man that you've been thinking of as her brother is actually her husband that she's been with for a while now.
She's already married to someone?
Yes. I have been hearing stories from her for a while now about someone stalking her when she goes out or has the curtains in the house open. And then when he told me that the location of this estate was in a very high-end suburb and the house resided in the center of it with a very modern design, I knew exactly who you were talking about. And that's when I immediately started talking to her about you both. She told me that a mom and her son barged into their house, creating a whole scene saying that they'd be moving in with her.
Wait, does that mean that Drew has been the stalker?
That's what it seems like. And I think Drew misunderstood the fact that she is indeed already married to another man.
You're lying. My son has no reason to have done any of that.
For the time being, can you and Drew just get that truck out of their driveway and leave their property? If you don't and continue to be inside their house, they will have no choice but to call the police and have the both of you arrested for this.
Arrested? Drew and I? Madison! What the heck do you think you're doing? Where have you run off to? We both came right back to the house like you asked, and you are nowhere to be found in here. What do you think you're doing?
I have no plans on ever coming back to that house ever again.
Huh?
I took all my things and got them moved into a small storage container for the time being. And tonight I'm going to be staying at a hotel where I can take things easy without having to see either of you.
What are you talking about?
I had actually been thinking about divorcing Drew for a little while now. So I've been moving my things into that storage container, little by little. But when I found out what you both did, I took that time alone to act.
Do you know what you're saying? I'm not going to allow you to leave my son.
Whoa, wait. Wasn't it you that went out of your way to put those divorce papers on the living room table for me?
Well, my son's no longer going to be marrying a young and wealthy woman, so what I wanted before is all in the past now. Now you get your butt back over here.
Well, I've already handed in all the divorce paperwork to the city office.
Excuse me?
And also, there's no reason for me to worry about either of you guys anymore. So your permission isn't necessary.
What?
You've already given me more than enough reason to leave you guys. So why don't we just stop talking to each other now?
What have we done besides putting a piece of paper on a table for you?
Well, for starters, Drew has been stalking another woman for a while now. And now that you both acted on who he assumed would marry him and let you guys move in, causing a huge mess, I just can't deal with you both. Also, me leaving you both probably won't be the end of your guys' problem.
Uh-huh. What else do you have planned for me and Drew? Madison! Can you please get back in touch with Drew for me? Your friend has come after Drew for stalking her for a while now, and plans to take him to court, and it's going to cost us a lot of money. And I had assumed that Drew had the money to deal with all of this, but he said he expected to become rich after marrying your friend. He had used up all his money while waiting to marry her, and has been borrowing money for the past few months. He told me that all the money I used to get those bags and purses was all from the borrowed money he had. So, I need you now, more than ever. The money that you have saved up could really help us out of this situation. I'll forgive you for everything if you just get back with Drew and give us some of your money. Please, Madison! You have no reason to say no to us, right? Madison, can you at least give me an answer? Hello?
The following day, I was met with both that stalker Drew and his mom showing up at my office out of nowhere. Luckily, I wasn't there as I had already told my work about the events that were occurring. And so they allowed me to work remotely and told both Drew and his mom that I was not working there anymore and had changed offices. They continued trying to ask the woman at the front desk where the office was that I moved to. But she continued telling them that she couldn't give that information. Also, now that I'm back at my parents' house with my dad, who used to be in the police force himself, I really have nothing to worry about from those two. And that was the last of my relation to the stalker boy and his mommy. All I've heard about them now is that they ended up having to take out even more money in order to pay off the court hearing and settlement from my friend. And that put them in a really bad spot financially. And also, because Drew was now officially known as a stalker, the company he worked for found out and ended up firing him. Now, while the two of them work to pay back all the loans they took out, both end up fighting each other over whose fault all this really was.
Anita! Oh, hello, Flora. Please give me back my son's baseball hat. You can't just go and steal someone else's stuff. I thought he had lost it or something, but then I saw your son wearing it yesterday. Huh? What in the world are you talking about? I didn't do anything of the sort. But the one my son was wearing yesterday was a new baseball hat that I had bought for him. You see, my son is a fan of the professional baseball team on his hat. What? Don't you think that's strange? because the team on that baseball hat is the juvenile baseball team my son is a part of. What do you mean he's a fan? It's not even a professional baseball team in the first place. Are you sure about that? Who knows? Maybe they just use the same hats. It's true that there is a professional baseball team with the same colored hats, but the team logo on the front is completely different. Oh, and I sewed my son's name and uniform number on the hat, which I clearly saw on the one your son was wearing. What? Seriously? Oh, my bad. Maybe it was your son's hat after all. Yes, the one I bought for my son was slightly different now that I remember it. He must have picked it up thinking it was his. It must have been an honest mistake. There's no point in your son having that hat anyways, and if he's not a part of the baseball team, then people will know immediately that it's stolen if they see him wearing it. Besides, the coach at my son's baseball team is Mr. Tor, so if he sees your son wearing that, you know? So if it was an honest mistake, just like you say, then just give it back already. Mr. Tor? That crazy old man I sometimes see at the park? He's not crazy, he's just very strict and direct with people. Mr. Tor lives nearby, so if he sees your son wearing that, he's sure to call the police on you. The police? Are you sure I have to give it back to you? I mean, my son seems to really like it, and your son could always just get a new hat because he's a part of the team, right? No, it's my son's hat, and I'm not just going to let you have it. If you don't want to have the police called on you, then give me back the hat. Fine, I'll put it in your mailbox. Understood. Please bring it now. What? Now? Can't I just give it back to you when I feel like it or something? No. Give it back right now, please. If you don't, I'll tell Mr. Tor and the police. Fine, I get it. I'll bring it right now. Sheesh, you're making such a big deal out of this. It's just a hat, you know. I don't care if it's just a hat. What you're doing is theft, Anita. Don't do anything like this ever again. You're accusing me of being a thief? I told you it was just an honest mistake, and my son must have picked it up thinking it was his because I had bought him one that looked similar. I'm telling you, it was an honest mistake. Yeah, and he never noticed my son's name and uniform number sewed on the hat? I made sure to make it stand out precisely so no one would take it by accident. Next time, I won't be so forgiving and just call the police immediately. Fine, I won't. Just shut up already. You're making such a big deal out of this. Hey, Flora, I saw you entering your house just now. What in the world are you doing? Huh? What am I doing? I went to the supermarket to buy some stuff. You went to the supermarket? I don't think you have the luxury to be doing such things considering the situation. You called me out so many times before, but when you're the one in trouble, you just lie like it's so easy for you. That's what's called a hypocrite, Flora. All I ever do is make honest mistakes, but what you're doing right now is simply despicable. What? I don't know what you're talking about, Anita. Why are you in such a fuss? Your child just got taken away by an ambulance. I don't understand how you can just be so calm. Huh? Are you sure that it was my child? Yes, he was wearing your son's hat. I don't know who called the ambulance, but you noticed it come, right? There were so many people watching as well. I don't get why you can just pretend you don't know what's happening. Your own child got into an accident and was taken to the hospital, but you won't even go visit him since it's too much of a hassle for you. Hold on. I'm telling you, leave your house and go to the hospital right now. By the way, that accident wasn't my fault, all right? Huh? What do you mean it wasn't your fault? First of all, I don't know what you're talking about, and second of all, I never said it was your fault. Anyways, my son is in the house right now, so it can't be him. Huh? Are you sure about that? Yeah, he's practicing baseball in the yard right now. What? He's practicing baseball? But he just got into an accident and was taken to the hospital. How could he have recovered so fast? Are you being serious right now, Anita? I'm not saying that he's already back from the hospital, but that he was never taken to the hospital in the first place. The ambulance you're talking about is the one that drove by our house on the way to the main road, right? Yes, that one. So your son was taken to the hospital after all? No, I'm telling you, he wasn't. Are you even listening to a word I say? Why do I even bother talking to you? At the time the ambulance came, I was at the supermarket across the main road. When I got home, I saw there was a crowd of people gathered at the side of the road. I saw there was an ambulance as well, so I thought something must have happened, but I didn't bother looking and just went inside. Oh, and once I got home, both my son and mother-in-law welcomed me back, which means that my son wasn't the one who was hospitalized, and I don't know what you're talking about. But... Oh, and this is completely unrelated, but we already moved. Huh? Oh, when did you move? You see, my husband was relocated at work, and so we decided to move to where his new office is. We've already bought a new house. But I have work as well, and my son has school, so the three of us, me, my son, and my mother-in-law, are going to be staying here for a bit longer. My father-in-law and my husband have already moved to our new house. We're planning on going there tonight and having dinner. Besides, my son is right in front of me, so what you've been saying all this time is nonsense. You must have mistaken someone else for my son. What? Then who was that taken away by the ambulance? I could have sworn it was your son that got into an accident. Anita, you really shouldn't bother yourself with such things. It's none of our business. We'll just cause trouble if we start a commotion over something we don't have anything to do with. And if we did have something to do with it, we would have gotten a call from the hospital or police or something. If the person who was carried away was our neighbor, then we'll find out soon who it was and what happened, right? Why are you insisting so much that it was my son anyways? Did you get a close look and think it was him or something? Maybe you thought it was my son because it was some kid from nearby that looked like him, but thankfully nothing's happened with us here, so don't worry. Oh, is that so? Oh, it's fine if that's the case, though. I don't care if it has nothing to do with your son. Bye, then. Hello, Anita? I found out who was taken away by the ambulance yesterday. You seemed to be bothered about it a lot, so I'll share the information with you. Who was it? Apparently it was the son of Mr. Tor, the coach at my son's baseball team. What? That was Mr. Tor's son? Yep. I went to today's baseball practice with my son and saw that Mr. Tor's son wasn't there. So I asked him about it, and he told me about yesterday's accident. Apparently a bicycle that was going full speed crashed into him when he turned a corner. Luckily, he wasn't seriously injured, but he hit his head, so he went to the hospital to have it checked up just in case. Oh, is that so? I'm glad nothing serious happened to him. But apparently the person that ran into him fled the scene, and they still don't know who it was. What a sick person. To think that they would crash into an elementary school student and just flee the scene without even thinking to help? But if they had stayed and helped, surely they would have had to face the consequences of crashing into a child. It's only natural that they fled the scene, in my opinion. Is that a crime, do you think? Of course it is. Fleeing the scene is what a coward would do, Anita. An honest person would stay and do whatever they could to make up for his or her mistake. Even though it was just a bicycle, what this person did was clearly illegal. You can't just be going that fast on a sidewalk, it's against road laws. Yeah, you're right, I guess. Besides, if it was an honest mistake, they probably wouldn't have had to go to prison or something like that, right? But I don't know that even city bicycles are subject to road laws. Huh? It's so scary that there are all these laws we don't even know about, don't you think? I'd better watch out myself. Oh, I remembered I have to do something. Bye! Okay. Flora, something terrible has happened. What should I do? What do you think is the best thing to do at times like this, Flora? I need your advice. Why are you panicking so much? The police are at my front door. I'm scared to open it, so I'm pretending that no one's home. What? You can't just pretend to not be there when the police are at your door. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. If you didn't do anything, there's no reason to be scared of the police, so why don't you just open the door and see what they want from you? No, I'm not going to open the door. Why not? Because you did something and that's why you're hiding from the police? Huh? What are you talking about? I didn't do anything to deserve being locked up. Do you suspect me of being a criminal or something? I never said that you did anything that would get you locked up. And if there's nothing suspicious about you, then there's no need to hide from the police, is there? I mean, well, I didn't mean it like that. It's just that... If that's the case, then you should just open the door and talk to them, right? But that's... I can't, all right? It's hard to explain. You panicked at the sight of the police, and so without even thinking, texted me asking for help, even though it will only make things worse. Did I get that right? I think the best thing for you to do right now is to just accept that we all know about what you did now. What are you talking about? You're not making any sense. Hey, Anita, don't you realize that you messed up yesterday during our conversation? Huh? What do you mean I messed up? When I was telling you about the bicycle accident Mr. Tor's son got into, I only said that a bicycle crashed into his son, right? But for some reason, you knew what type of bicycle crashed into him, saying something about how it was so scary that even city bicycles are subject to road laws. Up until then, you seemed to know nothing about the accident, but for some reason you knew the type of bike that crashed into Mr. Tor's son. Seriously? I thought it was strange how you seemed to be so panicked about the accident at first, when you thought it was my son and not Mr. Tor's son that was hospitalized. You suspected me from the start? Well, it's not like all this proves with certainty that you're the one who crashed into Mr. Tor's son and fled the scene. All I did was tell Mr. Tor, the victim's father, about my suspicions. Why did you do that? What, did you think I would just stand by and let you get away with this? Oh, and by the way, it's not certain that it was me that caused the police to come to your house like this. There's a possibility that you were suspected of being the culprit from the start, and that they were already investigating you. Why is that? Why would they suspect me? Do I really look that much like a criminal? That's not what I meant. Apparently a lot of houses around here have security cameras watching the entrance to their house. So they might have already found evidence that you were the culprit before I told Mr. Tor anything. Security cameras? Yes, you only moved here 1 year ago, so maybe you didn't know, but this area was once terrorized by multiple thefts a few years ago. Theft? Yeah. After that, everyone learned a lesson, and they made contracts with security companies and set security cameras and stuff. So you know what that means, right? Hold on. So you're saying that I was caught on a security camera? I don't know for sure, but surely the police around here know how a lot of people have security cameras in this area. And so they probably asked them to cooperate by providing footage. Oh, but it's just a possibility, all right? No way! This can't be happening! Anita, what's wrong? They found out. They know I did it. To think that it was Mr. Tor's son as well! Anita, are you seriously just realizing this now? But I even got rid of the evidence and threw away my city bike! I thought that they wouldn't have anything to tie me to the accident. What? And they still found out? How is that even possible? Besides, it's that baseball hat of theirs that's the problem. He was wearing the same hat as your son's, which is why I thought it was him when I ran into him. But it had to be Mr. Tor's son of all people. I shouldn't have texted you that day. This never would have happened. Anita, do you realize that you're basically telling me that you ran into Mr. Tor's son on purpose because you thought he was my son? What are you trying to do, confessing your crimes to me like this? What do you want me to do about it? You think I'm going to help you or something? Huh? No, it's just that... You were careful enough to get rid of the evidence by throwing away your city bicycle. But for someone that goes that far, you're pretty scatterbrained, Anita. Maybe if you were a bit less stupid, you would have made a better thief. No, that's not what I meant when I said that I didn't mean that I purposefully ran into Mr. Tor's son because I thought he was your son. You're misunderstanding. I'm going to tell the police, okay? No, don't! My punishment is just going to get worse if you tell them. Apparently, the police knew from the start that she was actually home and just pretending to not be there. Anita tried to flee from the back door, but they were already waiting for her there and captured her. Apparently, she was arrested without even undergoing an investigation first. Oh, and the city bicycle that she disposed of was apparently stolen as well. After a bit more investigation, the police found out that she's guilty of several such petty crimes, and so Anita was locked away behind bars. Anita's husband, on the other hand, went to all the families that Anita had caused trouble for and apologized, and after that he divorced Anita and moved, bringing their children with him. Anita's parents fled without saying a word, ashamed at what their daughter had done. So when Anita finally got out of prison, she had nowhere left to go, and since she still had to pay for several alimonies and hospitalization bills and stuff, she was hardly free, even though she just got out of prison.